Hi YouTube, VidHead85 here, and I want to talk a little bit about Bishop Eddie Long. And I want to tell you a few of the things that I believe regarding him and regarding him and the whole swirl of accusations. Now, I believe it's been about a year, and for me, his elevated status as a pastor has allowed, I believe, has clouded many people's judgment. Many people also believe that him being African American, him being black, is a reason that he's been targeted. But I do submit that the government does unfairly target black men and Latino men disproportionately, but Eddie Long is not one of those men. Huey Freeman. But what I want to talk about, the main reason I want to talk about this is because it's been swirling in my mind for quite some time, especially about how gays are treated in many churches around this nation. There was an individual who was a couple. They were beaten and harassed outside of his uncle's or his dad's church. If anything, I say a civil suit is in order. But let me talk a little bit about Eddie Long. He is a pastor out of Atlanta, one of the biggest mega churches down there as far as I know. And he was accused of basically, even though, okay, the age of consent is 16, I believe, in Georgia. And here's a married pastor accused of having sex with these teen boys, even though they were of legal age. Now, his conduct, him saying, I'm not guilty of what they accuse me of, I'm gonna fight this. He never came out and said if he was innocent or not. Are you innocent, yes or no? That's all I wanna know. And then he gets up in front of his congregations on a Sunday morning and say, I'm being surrounded by the enemy, and I'm being, I am like David and Goliath. I've got 5 smooth stones and I haven't thrown one yet. I could believe that you were David if you acted in a way that was consistent with an innocent man. An innocent man would be offended at the very notion of paying off his accusers. An innocent man would not stoop to that. I don't believe that an innocent man would. You may want it to go away, but if you're really innocent, then that's not going to happen. I don't believe that that'll happen. Another thing is the whole fact of I want to point out the hypocrisy of the black church. Here you are, your pastor is accused of such a heinous crime and everyone's rallying around him, but let it be someone else in the congregation and you'd have had your pitchforks and torches read. They would have driven him from the church faster than they would a pedophile. Really, well, that's basically what it is. They would sit there and condemn openly gay people, but yet this man is accused of the most heinous crime in the book, and yet you rally around him because he's black and he's a pastor. Mainly because he's a pastor. Him being black has nothing to do with it, because many times people will rally around the pastor regardless, but in my mind, and from what I've read of this, from what I've seen of this, he is not an innocent man. There is no way that I could be convinced that he was an innocent man because his conduct does not give me any leverage to work with. But yet these same people will stop gay relatives from babysitting. But here he was being a father figure to these young men and taking advantage of that status. If that were me, see, many gay people, upon being found out that they're gay in a church, they will be usually dismissed of all duties. And those are churches that that often say, I disagree with homosexuality. And that we don't want them in leadership because they'll contaminate the rest of everybody. But also the other thing is that these same people who will say, I love homosexuals, but then again, they will preach about them being pedophiles and being involved in NAMBLA, which is a pedophile organization. It is not an LGBT organization. And yet you sit up here and tell me that I'm a pedophile, that I'm going to hurt children, that I'm going to hurt people's families, that I am going to force my way into a church to get married when I don't want to get married in a person's church that doesn't accept me, and that I'm going to curtail the religious freedoms of so many others, just like the Catholic Charities in Massachusetts who closed down rather than take state money and abide by that state's rules of anti-discrimination, as well as the same thing happened in Illinois when they had civil unions. Ocean Grove, it was public accommodation and it was open to the public, and their tax exempt status was for a public accommodation and not for a church, was not considered church property. So you'll do all this, you'll tell me that I am going to be the worst thing for America, and you claim you love me. I don't need your love. Have a great day, you two.